Call to order. May we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Chuck Haybuck, since you're new, would you like to please start with the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have a moment of silence for all of our troops here and overseas, and to think positive for all the folks that are suffering overseas. Thank you. Sorry. Announcements. Mr. Hayes, do you have any announcements?
I do have one from our tax collector, Bobby Loftus, that the office will be closed next week, all week, and then she will be open again the following week at the Warminster Community Park.
Okay.
Other than that, that's all we have.
Thank you. Janice, do you have any announcements?
I just want to say hello to everyone, and I want to make a reminder, since we're going to be expecting some flurry stuff coming, to please make sure that you lay down your basketball poles, so that way when our drivers come by to plow your streets, there's no reason why they can't get right up curb to curb. Make sure your cars are off of the streets like you're requested to do nicely. Otherwise, there may be consequences.
Thanks, Janice. Chuck?
Well, thank you. You took the words out of my mouth.
Sorry.
All good. Just everyone be safe with the snow coming. Stay home if you have to, and just have fun with it with the kids. Go sledding.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, folks here.
Do you have an announcement?
I don't have any, I'm going to in a second.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and folks at home. On this 18th, Thursday, 2024. I have a statement I'd like to just make prior to the meeting. At our last meeting, I was remiss in not appointing a couple folks on the Parks and Rec Board.
Time out.
Yes.
You have to let them know that we had an executive session.
Oh, okay, thanks. Oh, okay. Before I go into that, we had an executive session tonight. We discussed legal matters.
Litigation, yeah.
Litigation. Anything else, Miss?
No, that was it.
That's Mr. Holbert? Okay, that's it. So
Thanks,
we just want to let you know we had an executive session. It's going to take me a few meetings to get the hang of this, guys, so just be patient.
We'll work with you on that.
Okay, so I was remiss in a couple of the appointments, and we will rectify that tonight. Okay, first up, we're going to have presentations. Our first presenter will be Judy Goldstein Stern. Is that correct? Did I say it correct?
Stern Goldstein, it's okay.
Okay, Judy Stern Goldstein. She is our planner with Gilmore and Associates. And she's going to be doing a presentation about Shenandoah Woods. Thank you, Judy, for being here.
Thank you, I appreciate the time. So we're here tonight to talk about the Shenandoah Woods Passive Park Concept Plan, and thought it might be nice to just take a look at Shenandoah Woods as it exists now. And there's a drone video. There you go.
Looks great, doesn't it?
Hang on, it was just starting to go. Where's it going? We had a drone video. I was just going to take you through the site. You can see the demolition has been completed. We're on our way to starting to make it into a park. Just wanted to orient you a little bit. This really will be an extension of the Warminster Community Park. You see that at the top of your screen. That's the runway. The Shenandoah Woods property is that triangular property that has been colorized with access to Bristol Road. There was an area of contamination off of this site in the brown striped area that's surrounded by purple. It's an area that we just need to stay away from. This shows you the drainage area, soils, all the data we need later for our engineering analysis, but not much for now. It's pretty much as you see it, former service housing. The concept plan has a lot of parts, and I'm going to walk you through it. Basically, there's 3 overriding concepts: children's education areas, stormwater management and environmental elements, and passive recreation and education elements. But some of the highlights, while we look at the whole plan on the screen together, it's a lot to take in at once. I will take you through it briefly. This basically is an extension, as I said, of Warminster Community Park. This park will maintain the vehicular access to and from Bristol Road, and you see that at the top upper right-hand corner of the property, the driveway going up. We will reuse a lot of the existing infrastructure. The service road will become a trail. Some of the existing roads will become trails. We want to make sure that we're not just disregarding what's there and pay homage to what had been there also. First and foremost, this will be for passive recreation. That's required in a lot of the agreements that have been signed with the Navy. And it's going to have an extensive trail system. So the first concept I mentioned was the children's education areas, and you can see the potential for outdoor classroom, nature play, born learning, little free library, and storybook walk. So storybook walk, we would be working with Jess and with your library system and head librarian to create a storybook walk. It's basically a walk along a path with different pages of a story, and it can change. These are very good for early childhood reading. Little free library, you can see a bunch of different concepts. We thought we'd highlight a few that had to deal with space. Basically a library where books are left and people can take what they want and leave more, and the library can help staff that with their excess books. Born Learning Trail is something that is in conjunction with United Way. It's early childhood education and intervention for the preschool years. ABCs, 1, 2, 3, colors, shapes, animals, bugs. It's a lot of fun on the paths. It's sort of those teachable learning moments while you're out having fun anyway. Nature play is what it sounds like, using natural elements for play. And outdoor classrooms, you can see some views of different types of outdoor education classrooms. We would make sure that anything that's proposed in this park would be appropriate for the park. These are just ideas for you, but we would make sure that vandal resistant, sturdy, natural materials, sustainable. Next concept is the stormwater management and environmental elements. And this is where we did hear a lot of input. Township's interested in making sure this is green and sustainable and using this passive park as a showcase for being sustainable and green. So we're including pollinator gardens, a demonstration stormwater management gardens, stormwater management demonstration trail, pollinator gardens again, a bird blind, woodland restoration area, and what some of them could look like, just examples of rain gardens with native plantings, examples of pollinator gardens, bird blinds. I'm partial to just simple bird blinds, one wall with different slits at the heights for different sets of eyes, but they can be as simple or as complicated as you want. And the next concept was the passive recreation and education. We're looking at an historic interpretive loop trail, and that's where we really get into the history of the site and what it meant in the past, how it's been used in the past, and making sure that the history is not forgotten. Nature learning loop trail with educational signage, and a stormwater management demonstration trail, information about stormwater management and best management practices. And finally, at the terminus of the entrance driveway, there would be a parking area, a small parking lot. We're proposing approximately 25 spaces in the lot. A connection, a pedestrian connection to the Warminster Community Park, not a vehicular, but pedestrian. And then a pavilion. We're envisioning a small pavilion, something I believe on the level of Kemper Park, right? That was the small one. Thank you, Jess. And whoops. And just some vignettes of what something could be. Again, we went a little, if you look on the upper right, little space-like it would be nice to have the space theme come through in the park, but it can be as natural or as special as you want. But we are looking at something small, not a large, huge pavilion to rent out for parties or anything, more in conjunction with environmental education. And then when you put it all together, it's a lot of stuff packed into the site, but we believe it's all doable. This is just the overall concept plan, and could be implemented in phases over time. It could be implemented as funding is available, and this plan would serve the township well if you'd like to pursue grants for implementation. So with that, I'll open it for questions or comments.
I love that your presentation was very comprehensive. I also think it's great that you're using natural materials. And I love all of the educational things for the children, because let's face it, there's a lot of children that do visit the parks. And the walking trails, everybody can enjoy that. So thank you, Judy.
Thank you. This was all done in conjunction with Jazz, the township staff, and the group. It's not just me. I get to present the culmination of everyone's ideas, but a lot of it really comes through from the energy of your Park and Rec staff and what they can do with this property.
Yes, they talked about it at length last night. Not your presentation, of course, but what you were going to be doing, and I know that you work very well with Jess, and you guys work very well in tandem, so I think this is going to be a great partnership. So thank you both, and all the staff that was involved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a wonderful concept. And we'll just have to go shake some cages to get some funding. And I know some people right off the bat that I intend to start with, which would be our congressman, Representative Fitzpatrick, our 2 senators. I'm sure they'd be interested in helping us out a little bit, and then we'll go with the state. We'll move forward from there. You guys are very capable of handling the grant proceedings, so keep up the great work. It's nice.
Thank you.
Madam Chair. Thank you. Unless,
Very
You're good.
impressed.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jess.
very nice presentation.
Now, the trail itself, is it going to be asphalt?
Much of the trail actually exists as asphalt. The perimeter trail is the existing service road,
Okay.
so that would be maintained. And a couple of the trails, the first one parallel to the bottom leg of the right leg of the triangle, is one of the existing housing driveways.
I recognize it from way back, yeah.
Yeah, so, and the new trails would all be paved. It would be nice to do them porous, but I'm not sure there would be enough positive drainage. We'll make sure that it's sustainable as possible, but it will not be gravel.
No, that's fine. I was curious because we have a lot of handicapped residents that would like to benefit from that as well. So I want to make sure that our park's accessible for them.
Yeah, and it's, we do anticipate the township acquiring grants or being awarded several grants for this project, and that would necessitate that everything be accessible.
Right, I mean, it defeats its purpose if it's not accessible to everyone. But it's also nice that we can incorporate this into the MS4 plan, stormwater management and best management practices, and this is going to be a nice showcase for other parts of the county and the state.
I
Well
agree
done.
with Mr. Hayes. And we were there in the beginning when they were first starting to tear down the buildings and everything, and it was really an awful sight. And then to go from that to the way it looks even now, before even all these improvements, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind that all the pads where the houses existed, they're going to be removed as well. And then there's grading that'll be involved, and, there's a lot of permitting that'll be done here that, of course, you guys will take care of with the Conservation District and the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection.
That's why we're a team, and I kick that to Craig's
Yes.
part of the team.
And I was just talking to my lawyer. No, that's where, and, one big meeting we had where we all kind of just talked about the cost, and I know Jess was very concerned about, there's one part of it is what you see tonight, or what Judy presented, but it's also making the rest of the site naturalized and getting rid of the stone. We worked so hard to get rid of the houses and the concrete pads, and it's been a big ordeal. We promised DEP and the county conservation that once we have a plan and we move forward, that we'll take care of the erosion control, stormwater management. And there is a cost, and I know Jess is concerned about how high that's going to be, so we'll have to phase that as well as the project goes forward. That's going to be, it's going to take up some of the funding for the rest of the project if we, do too much with the stone pads, just getting all that removed, so.
Well, this is a massive project, just like
Yeah, it's going to have to be phased
demolition,
in.
and it's going to be done just like the rest of the park in phases, so that make it affordable, but, I mean, it's a great start. We've already got the houses removed, and, I know I attended that meeting with the DEP when we were demolishing the houses, and they were on board and offered to help us, with the MS4 as part of the MS4 plan. So they were on board with this from the beginning. Now we have something to present to them, and again, it's not going to happen overnight, but we'll phase it in, and eventually it'll be one beautiful passive area.
And you have a lot of opportunities on this one. This is sort of the ultimate brownfield site.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have brownfields money, you have park and rec money, you have some greenways and trails money perhaps, you have some naturalization money, possibly something with BMPs and stormwater. And then we can also look at private foundations on top of all the state and federal grants. So it's to compile the right package.
Right.
And just keep on taking it in doable bites.
You bring up a
Achievable
good
and
point that I kind of overlooked, because people think of brownfields as massive industrial sites, and that's a lot of the things that I work on, and I didn't really, this does qualify for brownfield, so.
It does. And
And there's a
DEP
lot of money available for that.
Yeah, and DEP and DCNR, going back maybe 10 years ago, started the whole Brownfields to Parks initiative.
Right.
They don't give you more funding, but they help line you up and tee you up
Right.
for funding.
Well, a lot of that will come from the EPA as well, US EPA, I
Right,
believe.
you
I mean,
have-
there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of avenues for financing.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well,
Thanks, Judy.
if I may,
Certainly.
Madam Chair,
Yes, you may.
if Mr. Hayes is finished.
I'm finished.
All right. You'll recall, in 2021, very early 2022, we applied with RDA, the Redevelopment Authority, for funds to help finance the redevelopment of Shenandoah Woods. We asked for $1 million. They gave us, we found out last year, $600,000. You might remember Representative Monroe was here with a giant check. Well, it wasn't quite how the way that worked. There's no $600,000 in anybody's bank account at this point. We have the ability to submit bills from the project to the state, the Office of the Budget, the Commonwealth Financing Authority, to get some of that 600 grand. So we met with them a couple of weeks ago on a teleconference, and since we've already racked up, no offense, engineering bills, we asked, can we start-
Planning bills, they're planning bills.
Can we use some of that 600,000 to pay for some of these engineering bills, right? 10% is the limit. So that grant's only good for 10% for engineering costs.
Yeah.
And I think we're at 59,000 now. That was a joke.
Knew all this was coming.
Well, as long as we didn't go over the 10%, we're okay.
Right?
Well, I mean, we can go over, but
Right.
we just won't get LSA, it's the LSA grant. We just won't get the LSA
I'm sure
grant.
that there's other opportunities.
I'm sure there is too, but the only reason I'm bringing it up is because the motions that we had, our priority back then was we need to get these houses demolished. So we had ARPA funds that helped pay for that part of it, right? And then we had the second part, which was the removal of the concrete slabs, and we had additional ARPA money for that. The progress of the project outstripped the grant process, right? I'm not saying it's gonna happen again, but we've already got 600,000 labeled for it, right? And none of which is, there hasn't not been one dime received so far. So that's still in play. With the goal that I think we've established now and bringing this concept plan out into the public, tonight is step one. We're gonna have available for people to comment on in the coming months, at the rec center, at the library and whatnot. We definitely would invite public input on this, but the idea, and if you'll forgive me if I'm incorrect, or you'll excuse me, please. We now have a verdict on what we want to do, how we want to redevelop Shenandoah Woods. We've been talking about it. Passive recreation combined with stormwater management demonstration. So this concept plan helps blend those two things together. There'll be no, we're not looking to redevelop it, we're looking to redevelop it
For beneficial use for the residents as a passive park.
as
Correct.
a responsible asset that will help extend the services offered at WCP and also deal with the stormwater management so that, we can use this property to help with the regional stormwater management, MS4.
Right. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe last year we received another $1 million from the federal government. Didn't that go to the RDA? I believe so.
That's from the transportation HUD.
It was from Representative, yeah, it was.
Right.
What's it
Representative
called?
Fitzpatrick.
Community enhancement or something like that?
It was from the omnibus budget
Yes.
that was passed at the end of '22.
So that money should be available now as well.
So, again, that's through the RDA.
Right.
Working with Representative Fitzpatrick.
Correct.
So-
But it's available for Shenandoah Woods, so,
Or- That was the goal, yes.
yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
I was under the impression that the pads were already removed.
The pads have been removed, what's there is stone.
Stone's still
Okay.
there.
Because it
And the
still
footers.
looks, the picture made it look like it was
Yeah.
still.
There's still footers remaining and the stone is still remaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this drone shot that we're using for the base, and
Yes.
the little video that I didn't show you, is after the removal of the pads, that's showing the stone.
Okay, because
So-
it looked like pads, that's why I was
Yeah,
asking.
it looks
Okay.
like the pads are still there because it's the stone that
Okay,
remains.
gotcha.
And the stone is better for the drainage, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, that's all going to come up. That's part of the whole NIPD's permit and what and when we get into grading, all those,
Okay.
we're not quite
Okay.
sure. I guess the engineers will still have to figure this out, whether we leave it in place and cover it, or we remove that stuff. I don't know. I'm not sure quite.
We want to get, I mean,
I don't think we're there yet.
we're not there yet. We
Right.
wanted to see how, and I think this is great. There, a lot of people were part of this project, acquiring the property. I mean, I've been here for the whole thing, and to see this now, from when we were fighting with the Navy, trying to acquire the property, whatever we want to do. I really agree with Mr. Scott and what the board's been doing, is get stuff on paper. Let's do some planning. I don't think there's enough of that done. It can always be massaged, all the public input. Jess and Judy did a great job on laying this out. They want input as well. We really do want public input before we get too far along. Jess and Judy have some great ideas, but then we're going to have some of the more engineering aspects that are just, we have to meet with DEP, we have to address conservation district issues, and everybody's alluding to the pad sites. There was a lot of work done with people up here about getting DEP not to make us get a permit
Right.
when the slabs, I mean, the residents aren't aware of it, but Mr. Scott, Mr. Hayes, myself, Mr. Holbert, and others just had to really convince DEP and the regional director not to require permitting when we didn't have a plan yet. And we finally achieved that. But the next step was if we touch the stone or do anything else, we need to get a permit. And we will do that once this plan is finalized and you start with the first phase. We'll have to do and meet all the state and local requirements for permitting, so.
The permitting is going to be significant.
It is.
Absolutely.
It's going to be,
This is a
it's
big
expensive,
project.
and it's upwards of 9 months to acquire a NIPD's permit for a site like this. So, the input that we get early on is really beneficial, so we're not making changes later. Once you start making changes after a permit's issued, we'll obviously phase the project, but there'll be a lot of negotiations and talk with the state of how much we can do with the other part of I hate to say it, but the trails and stuff, the features of what Jess wants to do is the easy part. It's the land and, what we're dealing with the state, so.
Thank you for that explanation, Craig.
It's exciting.
Thank you for your
Wonderful.
time tonight.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
Thank
coming in,
you.
Judy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Crown, if they have any questions?
Anyone in here tonight, would you have any questions regarding this project? Would you like to please come up, Darlene?
Darlene Baker, 1537 Mulberry Circle. Great job, you guys, nice job. I love the concept. I'm a tree hugger, so I like the woodland restoration. I think the educational piece is really good. Somebody did say something, did you say something about a contaminated area? Like how would we have a plan about blocking that, or?
I believe it's already been,
It's already,
it's already capped.
it's already capped, we just can't disturb that area.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
Right,
all
so
been
that's-
documented in the naval documents,
okay,
Yes.
transaction.
okay.
I mean, I could speak to that if you don't mind. That's been identified as a, they call them units, and that's been capped, and Judy's absolutely right, we just can't disturb that area. In other words, you can't dig up the soils, you can't,
Yeah.
I mean, it's safe, there's nothing,
Okay, that's good.
no one's exposed to anything.
Okay.
So it's all been, already been approved by the EPA as part of the Superfund site.
That's good to know.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that looks great. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? John?
John, this counts. This counts as your one.
You never know, you might give me a pass on that.
All right.
Listen, John Priolo was 674 Joseph Avenue. I like the idea, it's a great idea. It looks it looks like it's gonna be an educational park. I think it might be important that we don't forget the American Indians who were here first and have some kind of plaque to educate the kids that are coming through about who was here before us. And they don't teach enough of that in school. And matter of fact, I was looking at a map of the entire United States and Canada the other day, and it showed the complete list of all the different tribes that were here in the country. And you'd be surprised, it was full. And, you know, so, and we know what happened with them, with the situation. But we should recognize them if it's gonna be an educational park, if you're gonna do, you know, the ABCs and all the other stuff. Give them a little play. I think it's important.
Great idea, John.
American-
I
We
love
could-
it.
we could go right up to-
Yeah, we like it.
We can go right up to Council Rock and have that discussion, right there in Tyler State Park. Right? You know about that, right?
Shenandoah Woods, I mean, there's,
Lock up.
you know, in Shenandoah.
Yeah, no, I agree, that's excellent point.
You get a gold star.
Anybody have any other questions? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Austin Ryan, 943 Birch Road. I was just like taking a look at the design, and I was wondering if there was any plan to add accessibility by like foot to all of the people who live underneath the park, because it's like
I'm sorry, where?
The house,
the people who live underneath the
the
park.
neighborhood adjacent to it.
Good question.
The residents that,
Yeah, because there's a
That
bunch of
board.
people there. They
Sure.
shouldn't have to drive all the way around the.
Well, we don't want to have free access, like, just wide open. Go ahead, Jess, you speak to that.
Yeah, so that isn't something that we have not gotten that far into the planning process. A lot of, we currently have a fence there. One of the things that we've been discussing is what is the future of that fence, whether or not homeowners will have their own fence there. We're not that far into the process, but generally speaking, most of our parks that have neighbors that border it, we do not provide access from the home. Now, if homeowners have their own fencing there, let's say that's the direction that we go, and like I said, we're not that far into the process yet, so we can't really speak to that. You know, there's always the option to put a gate onto their own fencing, but we wouldn't know the answer to that question until we get that far into the process.
Okay, I was just looking down at there's like a water tower or something.
There is an area, yes, and we recently just cleared that fence line, and I was just out there. There is an area where there are some right-of-ways with the water tower and the like, so it is possible to put in a trail from the neighborhood, but from private residences, that's very unlikely. We do have a similar situation in Warminster Community Park, where we have the neighborhood along Veterans Way, and there's an access point there from the neighborhood. It is certainly something that we'll consider, especially considering that these neighbors have lived there for this long, and they had the houses back there, and they're probably going to be very excited about the project. So we will certainly take that into consideration and figure out if there is a way for us to create a neighborhood access, but certainly not from individual residences. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for bringing
Thank
that
you.
up.
Any more questions? Okay, moving along.
Very nice job.
Yes, great job, everyone that's involved. Okay, next up, we have Jessica Fox, our Parks and Rec Director, awesome Parks and Rec Director, may I add, for the 2024 Parks and Recreation schedule.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to mention really quickly, we have quite a few of our Park and Rec Advisory Committee members here today. And right now, we're going to be going over the 2024 proposed event schedule. And I just want to say that most of these events would not be possible in the capacity that they happen without these people here who show up and help us make these events happen. So thank you to our Park and Rec Advisory Committee. And yes, and the husbands that get voluntold. So I just wanted to acknowledge our members who are here tonight to see the plan and also everything that they do for us. So we have a proposed 2024 event schedule. This is just our events. This is not any outside events that occur at WCP or other parks. These are just the ones that are sponsored by the Parks and Rec Department. So our first event that we have is actually in conjunction with the Warminster YMCA. We're very excited to be working with the YMCA. That's a goal that we've had for some time, and we're making that happen. And the first event that we'll be doing together is Saturday, March 9th, and that is the Flying Leprechaun Fun Run. So the Flying Leprechaun Fun Run is a 1 mile run that is designed for children 0 to 12. So this is an event for children. That registration is being done through the Warminster YMCA. So we are not doing that registration in our department. We are just assisting with the event and the location and sort of coming together to bring things to the kids in the community. So that's Saturday, March 9th. We're hoping that the weather will hold out. It is a difficult time to do any type of outdoor event, but we're going to give it a go. And then following that, we'll have the Egg Scramble Thursday, March 28th. And again, this is all assuming that you're all on board with these events, which is why we're here to get your approval. Thursday, March 28th, we have scheduled the Egg Scramble. That happens every year. That's a super fun event at the O'Neill Pavilion in Warminster Community Park. Then after that, we have our annual Designer Bag Bingo, which is a fundraising event for the Parks and Rec Department. It's super successful every year, sells out, and it's really a very fun event. That is currently open for registration. That'll happen at the Ben Wilson Senior Center, and that registration can be done by visiting warminsterpa.myrec.com. Then we have the Spring Yard Sale, which occurs on the runway. It's a great day for people who not only maybe don't have a yard or a garage to have a sale and they would like to participate, people living in apartments and the like, and also people who do have a yard and a garage and a driveway but would like to come to a larger event. So the Spring Yard Sale will happen Saturday, April 20th. That registration is not open yet, but it will be shortly. Following that, we'll have our Rubber Ducky Regatta. That happens at Kemper Park on Sunday, May 19th. That is also a fundraising event for the Parks and Rec Department. Super fun. People sponsor ducks. We dump them in the Neshaminy Creek and we chase them down the creek. And the winners take home cash prizes. After that, we have the Memorial Day Ceremony and Parade. That happens in partnership with the VFW. That's scheduled for Monday, May 27th. I'd like to note that John Gruber and the VFW have come back on board this year. They are incredible at organizing this event. It's super fun to work with them. So that is scheduled for Monday, May 27th, with the ceremony happening out front here at 401 Gibson, and then the parade route will stay the same, traveling down Street Road. Our annual golf outing, again, another fundraiser event for Parks and Rec. We want to build things. So we will continue to have these fundraising events. The golf outing is awesome. Some of our best sponsors are here in the room tonight, and it's a really fun day every year. That is scheduled for Friday, September 20th, so put that on your calendar, guys. And that'll be at Five Ponds. Then we have Warminster Day and Touch a Truck. Last year it was very successful combining the two events, so we're going to continue to do that. And so we'll have one big event on Saturday, September 28th. That was a difficult date to choose, but the following weekend is Northampton Day, and the weekend before is Warrington Day. So we will be sandwiched right in the middle, which hopefully is ideal for not just Warminster residents, but everyone in the surrounding area. And then our tree lighting, which we did last year, and was a great night. We're planning to do that again on Monday, December 2nd. Location to be determined. It was great here last year, but we were pretty full, which is a great problem to have. We'll figure that out as the year goes on. We do have some time, but the date is currently scheduled for Monday, December 2nd, assuming you all are in favor.
All great events.
Sound good to me.
And we're okay with the
There's no
date?
vote to be needed here, I don't think, is there? No.
No? Okay.
No, I
Okay.
think it's wonderful. And the tree lighting was a nice
It was
event.
a fun
Yeah,
night,
it
yeah.
was. It's nice to have that.
Janice, you have a question?
One of the comments I got back from residents is they'd like to have it later in the evening or on the weekend so that people that are working, that don't get off until 5 o'clock could participate. Because I know that we had it at 5 o'clock, so many families couldn't come.
Sure.
Since we're
So
still in daycare, is that something we can consider doing it on the weekend?
that's certainly something that we can discuss. Tom and I can talk about.
Problem with doing it on the weekend is we're not going to have township employees available to assist.
We have some time to work on that.
Yeah, so we
Figure it out.
can discuss, and I serve with pleasure, so as I'm director.
And some of the alternate locations we were talking about with the library are Five Ponds.
Yes.
But as you say, we've got 12 months to work on it.
Yes, yes, okay. So if we are good with this tentative schedule, Parks and Rec will get to work, and we'll see you at these events.
Everybody happy with us?
Yes.
Thanks, Jess.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're all on
Keep
board.
doing the wonderful job you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you to everybody here that participates in Parks and Rec. You do a great job. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, okay, that sounds good. Okay, thanks. Yes. All right. All right. Consent agenda. May I have a motion to consider approval of the Board of Supervisors minutes dated November 16th, 2023? May I do both?
Yes.
Thank you, Scott. And consider approval of the Board of minutes date December 14th, 2023. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Next,
4-0, there's,
I'm sorry, 4-0. Sorry, 4-0. Thank you, guys. All right.
By the way, we were remiss in, on
I'm gonna start
our,
at Dan's, yeah.
well, I'd like to bring that up now. You can say something at the end as well if you like, but
Oh,
I'd
okay.
like to just bring up that Judy's not here tonight. She took a spill over at the library, and she was hospitalized for a while, but she's doing very well and going through physical therapy right now. So everything looks good. She's healing nicely. So our thoughts are with her, and she's sorry she couldn't make it tonight.
She's doing very, very well. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, we should have brought that up at the
I
very
meant,
beginning.
I know.
But, Judy, we're still here.
We're thinking about you, Judy.
That's right.
Next, our finance report. Chuck Haybuck.
Yes, we'd like the approval of the submittal bill listed December 31st in 2023 in the amount of $667,424.33. and the approval of the bill listed dated January 18th, 2024, in the amount of $1,232,820.16, with a total of $1,900,244.49.
We have a motion.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes 4-0. Okay. Are we doing anything with? Okay, okay. Any questions from the board on the Treasury report? Any questions from anybody here? Thank you. 2023.
Mr. Tom.
Mr. Tom Scott, would you please like to do the 2023 financial statement for November?
Thank you, Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Mr. Ramey's not here tonight, and I will just make a couple of comments. We do have the financials through November are now available. We're going to put the new monthly numbers on the website. We are continued, I'm sure John would agree, and he would permit me to say this out loud, we continue to be doing very well with regards to anticipated revenues and anticipated expenses. We, again, this was through the end of November, so there's no, we don't have the full year's tally, but we'll have that in about a month. The one thing I wanted to point out, if you'll permit me, Madam Chair, is the outstanding job that Spirit Golf has done running 5 ponds, and it literally shows in the statements we're getting from, and it sounds crass, but it is a enterprise fund. They are there to make money. And they do a great job with the course, beautiful facility, and the fact that it also is raising extra revenue for Warminster Township is a big plus. And that's all I have to say about that. But the new financials will be available in the coming days on the website under our budget and audit page. I think gets our most hits.
Oh, that's.
Sure it does.
I look at it every day.
It's
so
our biggest hit, right?
at least one every day.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
So it's nice that we
This is
don't.
Tom going to it 30 times a day.
Yeah, he's getting all the likes over there, but,
As soon as Supervisor Haybeck gives us his bio, that will help fill the whole thing in.
well, it's nice to know that we didn't have
I'll get right on
to
that.
use a TAN this year, a tax anticipation note. Once again, we didn't need it. And that's a testament to our great financial director and the staff here at Warminster. Thanks.
Yep. Agreed.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. No unfinished business tonight. New business. All right, as I said earlier, there were a couple appointments that were not made at the last meeting, and so we're going to rectify that this time.
I'd like to make a motion for Jeff Drulis.
Oh,
Is it too early for that?
One
Okay, I'm
moment,
sorry.
please, Janice, that's okay. Okay, may I have a motion for voting member for 2023 for Parks and Rec? Janice?
I'd like to make a motion for Jeff Drulis for the voting member.
Yes, voting member, may I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion, okay, chair votes aye, motion passes 4-0. May I have a motion to appoint Dina Niles to the Parks and Rec Board
I'll second that motion.
as a citizen advisor? You'll second that? All right, I'll motion that. Anybody have any questions?
I just have one comment on the
Sure.
Baker. Jeff Drulis.
Come on up, darling.
Jeff Julis is a good appointment. He's been actively involved in most of the events as a volunteer, and he comes to all the board meetings, which is more than I can say for some of the other board members. So that, great appointment. So thank you for
Thank you.
You're
that was
welcome.
that was
I said
overlooked last time.
What?
That was overlooked last time.
As I said, I was going to rectify it, so. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay, so may I have a second for Dina Niles?
We already had it.
Second.
We have? Okay, all right. All in favor? No questions? All right. Chair votes aye, motion passes 4-0.
No, we didn't vote yet.
Can we vote?
Aye.
All
Aye.
in favor? Aye. Go ahead, we can all laugh. I'm laughing too, it's okay. All right, so, yes, motion passes 4-0. Thank you. All right, as long as the business gets done, guys, I will really,
That's right.
I will get this down pat, trust me. All right, so,
And we have no room for another citizens advisor, correct? That's full?
it's now full,
Okay.
correct? Okay.
Because we had
Yes.
another
I
new
think we
candidate.
have several openings.
There's
yeah.
more openings.
For the citizen advisor, they are appointed annually,
Right,
so everybody's term who was a citizen advisor at the end of 2023 is expired.
right, that's all we have that
So
applies.
we're still
at this point.
taking
Right.
anybody that wants to.
Applications.
Okay, then I'd like to make a motion to accept Henry Taylor as another citizens advisor.
Oh, Henry, I thought you were already on the board, or I would have mismentioned your name. Yes, he came last night. You're already on there. I'm sorry. Officially.
He's not official, so can we
All
make
right.
him official?
All right. Second, may I have a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all right. Any other positions, please apply, and Jess, you can let me know how many more people you need. Thank you. All right.
Anybody with strong legs.
Good one, Pat. Thank you. All right, so that's now taken care of. I'm so glad. All right.
And we do have one for the golf committee as well.
It's not on the agenda.
Okay, sorry.
Professional reports. How about if we start with Mr. Tom Scott for the Township Manager's Report?
Well, before I get into that, I just want to, look, we're going to be getting additional interest from people to be appointed. And we will make those desires known to the Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks.
With the guidance of the Township Solicitor, we can decide whether or not it's something that needs to be as formal as other things.
Yeah, we can talk about that, yep.
I can't wait. Thank you.
Of course.
So anyway. So it's going to snow tomorrow. And as has been said, I think, already tonight, and probably be something on everybody's mind. We'd like everybody to get their cars off the street tonight before it starts snowing at 4 a.m. And basketball hoops, please. They are a huge obstacle for the plows. This will be a snow plow event. And it's supposed to start, and it's supposed to go on till about dinner time tomorrow night. So we can expect 4 to 6 inches. And, you know, we've got we had an emergency management team meeting this morning with Lieutenant DeLuca, Emergency Management Services Director Joe Velton, Andrew McAdams, myself, Lisa Howdyshell. We feel we're okay going into this tomorrow. Obviously, circumstances may change. I did issue a declaration of disaster emergency that'll help us with acquiring additional materials if we need it, or bringing on additional help if we need it. We are currently lined up with help from the WMA and their plowing team. So I'm asking everybody that can stay home tomorrow to stay home tomorrow.
It's easy.
I don't know what the reach of my voice is, but
You'll be able to hear him.
But unfortunately, it's gonna start at the peak commuting hour, and it's gonna end at the other peak commuting hour. So it's gonna be a bit of a drag.
Get some sleep.
Tom, may I ask, you said for folks to remove their cars from the streets because obviously they have to plow, and you said there would be checks along the way. Will they be receiving a ticket if they do not remove their vehicles?
Well, I think we're gonna start with the request put on the windshields.
That's correct, sir.
Can you come on up and let
Yes.
everybody know, if you don't mind?
Thank you, officer.
Lieutenant?
Lieutenant Ron DeLuca, ladies and gentlemen, Warminster PD.
Yeah, just so everyone's aware that, and we don't get this, well,
Right.
nobody told us, because I
Exactly.
know that it could possibly turn into a tow.
Correct, sir.
Right, okay. Please let us know.
Based on the declaration presented by the manager earlier, we already have our officers out checking the roadways. They're going to be attempting to speak with anyone they can who has their vehicle there first, to try to speak with them to have it removed from the roadway. Those that we can prior to the actual effect of the declaration, we have notices that we put out as a reminder for that. Once it comes into an effect, we'll first always give a warning for that. Subsequent to that, they are subject, based on the declaration, to receiving a citation or potentially have the vehicle towed.
Thank you,
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Lieutenant DeLuca. Any other information that you need to pass on to anyone? That's it?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Is good? Yes.
So,
Come on up.
I'm sorry, Tiffany Budnick, 561 Walter Road. I'm sure some of you have heard of Walter Road quite frequently. Since we were just talking about snow removal, I don't understand why our road gets like the really crap end of the stick. Before the storm, you know, it was a mild storm, not a big deal. But before that, the whole bottom of our street, which enters to Street Road, was a complete sheet of ice. So I contacted multiple people. I even contacted Janice. We sent emails, I left voicemails, asking if that could be salted, before the snow came. So that way we didn't have snow on top of ice. Okay, then we got the snowstorm. I called again, emailed more pictures, because our street was not treated yet again. It was a mess. I work for a different school district. I leave very early in the morning because I drive a school bus. I leave at 5:30 in the morning. If the street is not plowed and if it's not salted, it's a steep hill. If I don't stop, I'm ending up on Street Road. I have children that drive cars that have smaller vehicles. I thankfully have a pickup truck, which I got stuck on my road, but I was able to shift it into four-wheel drive to get out of my street. My children don't. There is other teenagers on the street. We can't get in and out of our street. I shouldn't have to email, message, leave multiple messages to get our street treated. I sent more pictures again today. Last night, it was so bad, and my son had to come home from work at 10:30 at night. He's a 16-year-old boy. And for him to turn off a street road to try to get on our street, if he slides, again, on Street Road. So last night, he tried to hurry up and get on, and his car slid. Thankfully, he didn't hit anything, okay? Today, it was treated, it is 80% better than it was, but when I was coming here and I was trying to get out on Street Road to make a left turn from my street, my whole back end fishtailed. It is a mess. This is dangerous. So my question is, if I'm emailing, I'm calling, I'm trying to do everything possible to get my street treated, who is responsible when we do slide out on Street Road and somebody gets hurt? It's just because there's 8 houses on the block. It's a cul-de-sac. I guess it's not important. We pay our taxes too. We had multiple issues also during the summer. We can't get the brush cut back. I can't see to get out of my street. We get no response from that. Brush was not cut back. Obviously now we can see because it's all dead. I don't understand.
We've had, look, with the brush issue, we had that looked at many times last summer. Our inspectors were there, they were in contact with PennDOT about whether or not they were going to cut it, and I think they armed it a couple of times. You know, the cutter, PennDOT. But we did take a look at it. When L&I thinks there's action that's taken, they inform the appropriate property owner that it needs to be done.
Okay, well, the snow, finally, we had
As
a
for the
police
snow, we
officer
had-
come out today.
Well, I asked Lieutenant DeLuca to have somebody take a look at it. We do all the streets, all the township streets get treated, every single one of them.
Okay, I can literally show you logs. This is, some of you are new, but this is every year. Obviously not for the past 2 years because we haven't had snow. But every year, our street is always missed. Our street gets missed with trash. our street gets missed with a lot of stuff. When the trash does get picked up, you know, which is getting better, the trash men don't get all the trash in the trash truck. I'm picking up glass so my dog doesn't step on glass. Something needs to be better. I mean, you guys are voted in and everything. I don't know. I'm gonna start talking to my neighbors the next time you are up for election. If something doesn't start getting done, you just don't get re-voted in. It's the bottom line.
Well,
Thank you.
with regards to the treatment of the streets, like I said, we treat every single township street. We do.
I will be more than happy to send you pictures after this next snowfall. I'll send them every single day.
As far as who we contact, we do have a phone number for people to call.
I left 2 messages every day.
Every single call with location left on a message gets looked at. Every single one of them has been looked at. And that's not an exaggeration. I've spoken with the Director of Public Works, and I've spoken with
The other people on the board would like to see them.
We'll look into it. We'll make sure that Walter Street, as far as township's responsibility, will get taken care of. If it's PennDOT, if it's on Street Road, well, I understand, but you're saying at the bottom of the road, that might be PennDOT's right of way, and that's not our responsibility.
Are they not up to the shoulder, from the shoulder over? Is
It
there?
depends on where the right-of-way ends. Street road
Depends
is a
on where
wider
the right-of-way ends,
Just
that's
because,
correct.
just because it's Walter Road doesn't mean it's a part, it could be a part of the PennDOT's
So from
right-of-way.
the shoulder up past where my road starts was a complete sheet of ice. It was like 2 inches thick. That's uncalled. I salted my own street because I wasn't getting anything from here.
We treat every single township street. We don't do state roads, we don't do private property, every single township street. Some of them get it more than once because they are more heavily traveled. But we get to every single street, and this week, I say this with a great deal of confidence, we got to every single street at least twice. Now, it's been 3 days, so. But that's all we've been doing this week, putting that salt in. We didn't do it today because we're getting ready for tomorrow. But that's what we do. We don't decide this neighborhood's not gonna get it, this street isn't gonna get it, or this street's more important than that street because people are calling from this street but not that street. It's the heavily traveled road, the primary roads, then the secondary roads, and when we go back to take a look at them, it's which ones are intersecting with state roads that are problematic. We rely on the police department and the fire department to be our eyes on the streets. If something we need to do isn't being done, they advise us. These are the men and women who are out there driving around saying, this is hazardous, this needs to be looked at. I just want to repeat that we treat, and tomorrow we will hit, before the storm ends, to the best of our ability, we're going to get to every single township street.
Okay. I want to comment on that, Tom, because I sent you pictures. I went out that evening after everything finished falling to tell you what it was like and drove over there myself to see Walter Road. As I do every single resident that gives me a call, complain about whether there's too much water when it rains, I drive over. You can ask any of the residents along the street here that I've stopped when, we have problems. I go out myself personally, or I'll have Kurt drive me over to make sure and see what things are going on. And it took till today to get a police officer over there to look at that street and to get something done. I'm disappointed. Is there
I
something,
asked Lieutenant
I'm still
DeLuca.
speaking. Is it possible for us to brine the road on Walter because of the steep
I'm not going to treat that street any different from the other ones. I can't do
Okay.
that.
Well, I understand why you're saying you can't, because we want to treat all of our residents equally. But there's a strong pitch to that street, and it ends in Street Road. It seems like that could be made an exception, other than a street that's flat, that doesn't go into a 4-lane highway. Can't we make an exception?
I don't want to.
Okay, so you're taking responsibility.
We'll make sure your street's
But we're going to get to all of them.
Okay.
To say that the one is,
we're not
we have a
gonna-
system set up that Public Works uses. We have a system set up to let us know when there's a problem out in the field, from the police to the fire department. I don't want to upend the apple cart at this point and say that this one particular area is more important than somebody else. We're going to get to all of them. And if there are issues, we're going to address them.
All right, when are
Okay.
you up for re-election? Thank you.
He's not. But the point is,
Because I'm gonna make sure he never gets on again.
Who's here, you, Tom?
Tom? We will look into it, and we will check to, like Tom said, We don't differentiate between one neighborhood or another. So it will be looked into, but we do have to understand too that there are some roads that are treated by the county, there's some that are treated by the state. We cannot interfere with what the state does versus what the township does. So it's something that needs to be checked, and we're doing everything we need to do to keep our residents safe. All right, at this time, Tom,
Excuse me?
Where
One
were
more
we
question.
anyway?
We're in the middle of the reports.
Does our roadmaster go out and drive the streets himself, or is it just the police officer and fire department?
No, the Public Works Director is very active during
I'm
storms.
just asking.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And he's the one that responds to all the complaints. He goes and checks them himself.
Okay, I'm just asking. so
they've
that
been
they
out
have
like
the answer.
24/7. They're like on their last leg, and
Oh, I
I
understand.
give them so much credit.
Yeah, I know we only have, 8 people out there plowing, so I was
Okay.
I know.
All right, we're going
Well,
to move it
first of all, that
along.
was an unusual storm, first of all. It was not plowable.
Ice is different.
And then, I had ice on my street as well, and everywhere I drove, for the last 3 days, had ice everywhere, and, you just have to take it easy, and if there's a bad spot, I'm sure we'll address it. And if one gets overlooked, then we'll make sure it gets addressed, that's all, and, out of 111 miles of road, and I think we had one area that maybe needed a little more attention, so, it's a pretty good percentage.
I agree,
But
Lionel, I
the-
think.
The goal is to do all of them. All of them.
Right.
Okay. Next up,
So
we
where
have
were we, anyway?
Mr. Scott Hulbert with the Solicitor's Report.
Are you done, Tom?
I'm done.
All right, good evening, Happy New Year all. We discussed some of the items in executive session regarding some items going on, but I don't have anything else to report. We just want to wish Judy a speedy recovery. We know that can be tough, so we just wish her well.
Thank you, Scott, that's very nice. All right, Engineers Report, Mr. Kennard, you're up.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
And also, Judy, we miss you. Get well. Just wanted to highlight, you have our January report. We obviously went through Shenandoah Woods after the snowstorm, and I guess in February, I think Tom will be talking about the road program. That's been keeping us busy. Tom and staff, we've also been directing us to work on the ordinances, to update your ordinances. We're starting with, I believe, with zoning. I still have some subdivision land development ordinance comments and changes we'll probably incorporate as well. So we've been pretty busy, but one land development project I'd like to highlight for everyone, you've heard me talk about before, is the proposed Lidl store. This is the same at the corner of Street in Norristown. We've had other developers come in. It's really, no one's gotten any traction. Today I sat in a scoping meeting. Now, this isn't a meeting with PennDOT to go over design. It's the scoping meeting that we requested to see what PennDOT 10,000-foot level planning issues. The applicant is still, Lidl is still in their due diligence phase. They may be requesting to come in front of you to discuss it now that they got feedback from PennDOT. I will tell you that Aaron and myself attended. Our traffic engineer had a conflict meeting. It was scheduled pretty quickly, but I wanted to sit and see what they were going to ask for. And PennDOT actually, they requested all full new signal. Some of your equipment's outdated at Norristown and Street at South Norristown. The developer was not happy about that. I backed PennDOT and said, went out on a limb and said that we'd also be requiring new equipment since it's outdated and they have to move a lot of poles. They were not happy to hear about that. They're worried about the budget and the improvements to Street in Norristown. So I'm not sure where Lidl's going to go. I did get a call from the engineer late today. I haven't returned that call yet. But for right now, Lidl added 2 more pad sites to even try to make it work, which I mentioned to you before. A medical office building up towards Log College, up Norristown, right? And then a bank. So they're still struggling with trying to make that work. The property owner is Christ Home, and much of the property can't be developed, and that's part of the problem.
Right.
They have no intention of building on the other side of the creek, the wetlands and the woodlands. So we've done a sketch plan review. There's been a planning commission comments, staff comments, now PennDOT, so at some point you may see it. But it's 50/50 whether to move forward or not. I'm not sure. He did make it very clear it's getting very costly to develop that corner. So that was the big update, and I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Craig. Does anyone have any questions?
No? Thanks, Craig.
Anyone from the audience? Nope. Thank you. All right. Okay, Mr. Scott, you are up again for the 2024 Streets and Curbs Authorization to Bid.
Well, just, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board, that's what my announcement is. It's going to be on the agenda for the next meeting on February 1st.
Okay. And the curb ramps also?
Yes.
Thank you. Public comment. Residents have an opportunity to comment. Maximum of 3 minutes. Thank you. Name and,
Rank and serial number.
I'm Austin Ryan, 943 Birch Road. I'm sure you guys know who I am at this point.
we do,
Yeah.
for the record.
Sorry about that. So I was just wondering if you guys had a chance to look into the nonprofit that I told you guys about last time, Strong Towns. If not, I know it's the holiday, it's, busy. So
Yeah,
I'm not going to
I
bite your head on a phone.
Honestly, I didn't have time to look at it, I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem. I have more flyers.
Okay.
I know the, let me make sure, how many you guys have? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
I know you guys are probably busy,
Thank
so
you.
you don't have time to go take a course basically. So I added on the front of this flyer, there's a 15-minute TED Talk that the nonprofit did that basically goes over at a high level what they're all about. So if you guys can make the time to just, watch that on lunch break or whatever, I'd really appreciate it. I know there was talk last time, I believe from you, Ken, that you were interested in the productive land use aspects of the nonprofit. So yeah. And as it pertains to maybe this park, I could tie it into that. So with the park, you can get more use out of your park and have more productivity out of it if you build different types of uses around that park. So from the park's perspective,
Yeah, you don't have to put it so close. Yeah.
so from the park's perspective, if you have people doing shopping around the edges of the park, they're more likely to go into the park. If I got an ice cream, right, I could take a stroll around the park. If there's residences around the park, moms and teenagers and, old people can take a stroll through the park, but you have to make it accessible enough that they can just easily do that. So the park kind of would bring in more business, because it's an aspect of the whole commercial hub. Kind of get what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying. The problem is that in 1957 and 1945, there was no foresight in any of this at all, and we don't have a town center. So the park is built out all around us. To the north is a different township, and there's residents, and on the west side of the park was our only opportunity, and that went to commercial use, like warehousing and office work. So it's going to be a little difficult. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, but what's it called? We update it all the time, the comprehensive plan, right. And if you look back in 1963, the last one that I reviewed, and then the new one, we didn't even have greenways. It was just built, it was a Levittown plan.
Okay.
With shopping centers. And unfortunately, Warminster didn't see that opportunity. So it's going to be difficult. I agree with you, but it's going to be very difficult to do now.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's not a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
And
it's
we're built up, which
And
is
it's-
also.
There's nothing left
Right.
I mean, the
Yeah.
best opportunity you had was Jacksonville Road when the air base was originally abandoned.
So you could use maybe, think of outside the box a little bit. We have a bunch of little, we don't have to have a single town center, but like you can like infill develop, right? So like, I know in a lot of spaces, I think it's the commercial use zoning, it's like you can only build 25% of the land. Like only 25% of the land can have a building on it. And that takes away from other uses, and it drives up land costs and values when it shouldn't be. It drives off the cost of doing business for small businesses. Like simple little changes to like, in my commercial zone, I can, use all of the land available to me. We can have more opportunities for local businesses to run and be more productive. And you could like throw in, if you want, little parks throughout, instead of like dumping all the cash into one giant park.
Well, we have
Yeah.
a lot of parks.
Yeah, and I go to a park right around the block.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you don't. I just, spitballing ideas. Like,
Yeah, no, I understand. Trouble is that there's no, that would, I'm gonna let Craig speak to
No,
that.
I did review all your information before, I know, related to the roads. And actually, it's not only the comp plan, but the zoning ordinance, for your example, and I'm not gonna debate and make this too long, I'd love to talk to you offline, but when you say local businesses, the ordinances can't limit that this could be just a local business. So what happens is, local convenience store turns into a Super Wawa, it turns into, a Dunkin' Donuts and Papa John's. We can't limit who develops a property. So you mentioned incentive about how much land for that local business, 25%, and the rest, it drives up the cost. You're neglecting, 90% of my job is to protect the residents every time there's land development. And I take that very seriously, and I think this board knows I do that. So you let them develop more, you're neglecting what's around that property. And especially in Warminster, we have a lot of overlap with non-residential and residential. And if anybody sat through like I did the Wawa that was built and all the development on Street Road where the residents are right behind there, they don't want to see a larger, bigger building. It's the opposite of what the residents want. I do like all the stuff in here about mixed use. We do have that in the zoning. We do have that in the comp. Actually, everything is in here is in the township at some places. It may not be where you think it's best, but this township's built out. This is not like, you can come up with me some other clients up north and we'll talk all day about open land and mixed use and what the farmers can still do and, development with that. But this township is pretty much built up. The infill lots, it's
Yeah,
tough to
there's
even
not much
develop.
left to infill. That was my
So-
point. Like, this township's built out now. There's no farmland left, there's no open space left except for what we call or park system. And, there are properties, like some of the shopping centers and they have outbuildings where they're infilling, to use your terminology there. But, a lot of the other stuff that along Jacksonville Road is private property, and, they're not interested in infilling, putting any smaller storefronts in there. They want it for their lessees as parking spaces. So it's a little more complicated. If we were a rural town and just starting out, it'd be easy to do. It's a little more complicated now.
yeah, I'm not saying it's an
Yeah.
easy thing to do, but, zoning laws are like low-hanging fruit, maybe not politically, but
Well,
Just
changing zoning, the zoning is there to protect the residents.
well, I am a resident,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
first
so,
off,
I mean.
and I'm
it's-
like a person who's like all
And just
for
to
this.
say, oh, whatever, go do what you want, that was already tried here, and now we have all kinds of stormwater issues and
And I'm not
the
saying,
mess that we have. So, it's a tough one.
yeah,
But, anywhere where we can get more businesses in, I don't think this board has an issue with it.
Yep.
You know?
yeah, and I'm not against, like, I understand, it doesn't like, it's not in a vacuum, right? There's many people in the township and everything, just saying, mixed use, drives business and can make a better place. There's a reason why New Hope and Doylestown are have some of the most expensive real estate in this area.
Because they were boroughs, yeah. And they had Hatboro, Ambler, they're all wonderful places to visit. But we
Yeah.
don't have that, we never had a borough here.
And like I said, slowly over time, doesn't have to be today, doesn't have to be 5 years from now, but like small little changes around the edges over time can make a big difference.
Thank you for your
Okay,
comments,
thanks.
we appreciate it.
Excellent.
Thank you. Okay, anybody have any, John, come on up.
Come on, John, this is number 2.
Stop it. Hey, listen, John Perillo, 674 Joseph Avenue. 2 quick comments. I understand, because I do snow removal, you can't predict what happens on Street Road. When that truck comes down there and they blast in that you know, basically the apron part of the road, or what is the, you know, the right of way, they don't go clean that off. That gets stuck there, and you can't ever go and after it freezes, it's not coming off, you know, and salt doesn't really work that well until the sun hits it and things like that, so.
And you have a lot of traffic
Right.
grinding it in.
Right,
That's
and that's a problem. You drive on it, you make it worse, so that situation there is, it's a tough spot. It just has to, you have to be, I guess, use more caution. But what I will say is, we get less duty tow calls for traffic accidents during snowstorms than we do on sunny Saturday afternoons. So people are more cautious in bad weather driving, they do go slower, and less accidents seem to happen. So we do less tows during those periods of time, and we get more tows on the, like I said, on the Saturday afternoon. People aren't paying attention, they're going someplace, you know, they run into somebody, things like that. So, you know, I guess your accident counts go down during some of this bad weather and heavy rainstorms and stuff like that, because people tend to take more caution. So it's all about that. So,
Thanks,
just to
John.
let you know, all right?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
No, our next meeting is.
Last storm was a tough one because of all the freezing rain. This one should be a little easier because it's all snow. So we can plow it now. It'll be a plowable snow, and there's no freezing rain on top of it. Because as soon as you, I know I shoveled my driveway and sidewalk, and it was a sheet of ice in 30 minutes, which you don't want to happen on your streets. So, but you need traffic to grind the salt in to the ice, and then a little bit of sun, and then that's when it's effective. If you have a deep freeze right after, you know, you have a snowstorm, and then you have 10 to 12 degree weather, you don't even need to be a scientist to figure that out. Nothing's going to thaw. So, but we'll make sure that we look at the problem spots. Tom and Andrew and the Public Works guys did a great job, and I don't want to discredit them for you know, one street out of hundreds.
They're amazing, they do a great job.
Yeah, you do. You know, and they're out, you know, they're working almost 24 hours. I mean, so it's something, you know, and I know once in a while they'll miss Cutler Avenue, and, you know, the neighbors remind me, and then our guys go out and take care of it. So that's all I can say about that. They do a great job.
Thanks, Ken. Our next Board of Supervisors meeting will be, it's going to be on Tuesday?
That should be Thursday.
That's
Thursday, February 1st.
Thursday, February 1st. Okay.
First and third Thursdays, correct?
Yeah.
Yep, first and third.
You're doing this,
All
Brad.
right, supervisors' comments. Janice, you want to go first?
I just want to thank all those that came out this evening to our Board of Supervisors meeting. I encourage everyone else to take a gander and come out and learn what's going on in our township so you can be aware. Once again, be safe and stay inside and stay warm. Find something fun to do, like maybe bake some cookies or something. Make sure you check on your senior neighbors that live next to you, across the street from you, and check on them. And teenagers, this is a great opportunity for you to get out and shovel the snow for your neighbors. just think it's an art that's been passed, because this past storm, I didn't see any kids out there shoveling. I'm like, okay, guys, get a shovel, let's go. It's a great opportunity for you to meet your neighbors, to do something nice for somebody else, and you'll get many blessings from it. Go ahead. Did I take your words again?
No, we're good. I would like to add to that is that your elderly neighbors, if you could help them out with shoveling, snow blowing, it's huge on them because, the risk they can take from health, doing their own driveways and sidewalks. Young kids or, young gentleman, family guy that has a snow blower, take the extra 10 minutes and do your neighbors. Be a nice thought for the new year.
Nice thought.
As a matter of fact, I have a snow blower and a young guy can run it for me.
There you go.
If he would like. Right, John? I'll fire it up and then you can take off. That's right. That's
Full
right.
of gas.
Mr. Hayes?
That's all I have. Just be safe tomorrow. Our police officers and our public works and our emergency management people are out all the time in all these weather situations and these hazardous weather, and they are advising our manager and making decisions, the right decisions as to what needs to be done. Last storm was a little different, as I said. It's one of those, they all take on their own personality. That was a tough one. That was a tough one. Anywhere that you drove in the state, even in New Jersey, I was over there, it was the same thing. It's tough when you have freezing rain and deep freeze, but let our crews do their job tomorrow. If you don't have to go out, please don't go out, and let us take care of the roads. And that's about all I have, Kath.
Thanks, Ken. I'd like to thank all the folks at home that have been tuning in, all of our friends from Parks and Rec that are here tonight. The young gentleman that was, I forgot your first name. Thank you for talking in. John, of course. Thank you for all participating. Also would like to thank everybody that's been involved in the cleanup of the roads because, again, it was a sheet of ice. And if you looked across the country, it was in a lot of places. It wasn't just here. It was in many, many states. And they had the same issues we did. Our public work guys, again, they are on their last leg and they are ready to go out there. Again, they'll be out there 4 o'clock in the morning. They'll be out there all day long. So, keep them in your thoughts and prayers that they're safe. Again, help your neighbors if you can, especially your elderly neighbors. Trash can, sometimes those trash cans are really heavy. Take them down to the end of the street. They'll really appreciate it, and then just take it back. It's no big deal. I do it myself for my neighbor. It's like it's really not a big deal. Also, Judy, if you're watching, you are in our thoughts and prayers, and we wish you a very speedy recovery. And that's all I have tonight. May I have adjournment?
Motion.
Second.
Good night.
Good night. Irene.
All right.